everyone. Nick Davis, MSD. I'm here with Joe Thacker.
Good morning.
Joe, so awesome to have you here. Looking forward to discussing facility analytics and assuring clients' facilities continue to function with energy efficient solutions.
That is,
Joe,
that is our passion, Nick. I mean, we love doing that. We love helping our clients save energy and make sure that their associates are comfortable and they've got an optimum environment to work in.
Joe, you bring such a high level of industry expertise. We are very fortunate to have you here at MSD. I personally have learned a ton from you. Joe, your humble approach, really being able to listen to clients' needs, is something that has taught me a ton. And I can't thank you enough for what you do, not only for the clients of MSD, but for the industry as a whole.
Well, thanks, Nick. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. We have a fantastic team. From the top down to the everybody in the field. It doesn't matter where we go. We have a team that is really dedicated to delivering the optimum results for our clients, and it's an honor to be here and be a part of the team.
Yeah, so at MSD, our mission being deliver 100% client expectations. That's really not possible, right, without having a team. I'm so glad you just said that because it's such a great point. I mean, there's a lot of different service offerings that MSD offers as a whole. Do you want to high level? What's those different services that we're talking about here?
Oh man, we are very very broad in the services that we offer. So obviously, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, card access, video cameras. I mean, if it goes inside of a building, we probably touch it. And then you add on top of that our construction services, our special projects. I mean, as I said, if it goes into a building, we can take care of it for you.
That's a good point. And as you approach your clients and you're entering these facilities and you're seeing things, what are some of the key elements that you're looking for to help educate and get clients into a position that you can help them become more energy efficient?
Well, one of the biggest thing, I mean, as we know, HVAC, lighting, electrical usage, that accounts for the lion's share of the energy consumption and the operating budget of our clients. So, from that perspective, that's what I'm looking for. Where are the opportunities for our clients to A, improve performance, B, save money, C, reduce operating costs? Because it all ties in together. And so I'm looking for those systems, whether it be, a chiller that's not operating efficiently, or an electrical panel that needs upgrades. Maybe it's got some wear on thermal wear, and it's giving off too much heat, or whether it's leaky valves that can add up over the year in cost. I'm looking for those kind of opportunities to save money for our clients.
Absolutely. Now, as you're doing that, does that typically start with a site walk, a site visit? How do you really kind of understand that facility and what's key to that facility functioning at its peak performance?
Well, the biggest thing is to know what is the purpose of the facility. So every client that we have is unique, and similarly, every building that our clients have are also unique. They're designed for a specific purpose. So one is to understand what's the purpose. What are they trying to accomplish with this building? A building is nothing more than a tool to drive your business, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
we're understanding what the usage is, understanding where the performance issues are in that building, talking to the clients. You can gain, so nobody knows the building any better than the client does, right? And their associates, because they're a treasure trove of information about the building. So talking with the people who actually are there every day, looking at the various system types, looking at their control system. Do they have pneumatics? Is it digitally controlled? What type of controls do they have in the building? And then just kind of doing some general observations. Do I see leaks on the floor? Do I see wires, bare wires hanging out? Do I see equipment that is supposed to be running that's idled? or the other way around? Do I see equipment that should be, unoccupied right now, shouldn't be running right now, and it is? Do I see things like simultaneous heating and cooling? And those kind of things are what we're looking for.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and it's a lot. It's a lot on these facility managers and these clients across the board, just really getting a good pulse on all the different activity and movement that they have within that facility. So, one key thing you hit on there, and I wanted to ask is, that's great when a client has a BAS front end control system. How do you approach a client if they don't have that front end system available?
um, that's the conversation that you want to have with them is, there's huge opportunities for those facilities. I, give you an example. Recently worked with a church that once upon a time had kind of a control system, but it wasn't really a coordinated system. They had temperature controls certainly on the
Yes.
various rooms, but there was nothing really orchestrating all those individual thermostats, right? So um, they had areas of their church where they literally had two different thermostats, one controlling the heat, one controlling the cooling, and they were simultaneously. And they even told me, "Yeah, we know we are simultaneously heating and cooling certain areas of the church. It happens."
What type of a mixed temp was that, right? I mean, working against each other rather than
So
working together?
So you had a rooftop with a thermostat and you had a heating coil with a thermostat, and those two were not talking to each other. So you could potentially have different set points on the thermostats and one fighting against the other one.
Wow. So were both on the front end, or were they just standalone T stats?
They were standalone.
Okay.
So, getting back to your question and your point of um, what opportunities are there for people who don't have building automation systems, looking at things like that and then kind of quantifying what those results or what those opportunity costs are from not having that building automation system.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah. I mean, really being able to, and now you have the front end that you can see from the desktop mobile app, right? Or now you have the mobile app, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah, I mean, now with modern building automation systems and the obviously one of the things that drove people away from them in the years ago was the cost of that building automation system. You really had to have a more complex system to kind of make it pay off. But now the cost of being able to control your facility has come down
that's a
dramatically
great
to
point.
where it makes a lot of sense to have even on small facilities have the ability to schedule your equipment or be able to look at it um, from home in case, hey, you know what? I think I left that. I think I left that thermostat at set point when I left the building today. Now you don't have to worry about your. You can go on and focus on the things you really need to focus on to drive your business. You don't have to worry about those kind of issues.
Yeah, I mean, especially scheduled intervals, right? So, peak times where personnel is going to be within the space or not, or maybe a process, a manufacturing facility that needs a certain temp inside a certain zone. So, seeing that on the front end and also from your mobile device, to your point, it'd be nice to be at home and say, I need to turn this down, dial this down because the shift is ending or the cycle's been completed, right?
Or even in a kind of a negative scenario where you've got a piece of process equipment that goes down while you're at home, now you can have a hierarchy of people that get notified when that system goes down. So for example, if you've got somebody who's on call, they get notified first. If they can't respond immediately, then it gets elevated to the next person. And so you're able to grab your phone wherever you're at. If you're out having dinner, you can pull that up and go, oh my gosh, this process is down. We need to do something about it. I need to make some phone calls. Or it could be just as simple as you getting on your device and resetting the piece of equipment. That can be done too. So it gives you some peace of mind when you're not there that, hey, I can look at the system. I can maybe change some set points. I can change some schedules, or I can even maybe take some proactive type action to resolve the situation.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I think a lot of times when we look at these different building facilities and we think building automation controls and we think Niagara and for BAS front end connectivity, there's a lot of focus on the equipment. Is it huge? Yes. I mean, we see, I think it's fair to say 40 to 60% average utility costs is driven by that HVAC element. What other components, what other types of systems have you had success with beyond the HVAC equipment that you've been able to bring into that front end to showcase back to the client?
Utility meters, for one. Most people have, they're familiar with their electric meter from the power company that's out there. But being able to sub-meter certain processes in a manufacturing environment or just tracking your electrical usage because, spoiler alert, the utilities meters are not always accurate. And we've found cases where we've put investment grade meters on buildings. We've had them on buildings and we've been able to get rebates or refunds actually because it was their money to begin with. Refunds from the utilities because the meter wasn't right or it didn't read right or whoever came out to read it didn't do their job right, those sort of things. Other utility meters, natural gas meters, water meters, all that can be integrated. Lighting is a huge, I mean, lighting's another 20 to 30% of the utility costs for a building. So lighting controls are huge, being able to see zones for that on a schedule. And not only that, but utilizing the occupancy sensors in those lights to help you with HVAC control. That's a pretty routine strategy anymore, being able to reduce the temperature of a room that's unoccupied. Why are you continuing to cool a conference room when it's only being used a couple hours a day?
Yeah, unoccupied room, right? Nothing like it being cool for what, right?
Right.
That's so interesting too when you talk about the different utilities. So can you hit on that a little bit? How clients are able to use the data points on, say, a master meter for power, electric. You hit on the same thing for the water, makeup water. All those points can come back into the front end. Can you talk a little bit about how clients are able to utilize that data and compare it against their utility bills?
Yeah. So, you know, the sad thing is, in a way, that a lot of people, they have a control system, but they just want to look at a screen and say, okay, I've used this many gallons of water. They're not really using um, that to drive any decisions or any analytics inside of their facility. They're just really kind of looking at maybe a sensor and trying to get a report, things like that, when they could be really utilizing that data to drive business decisions. But I'll give you a good example of putting a meter on a cooling tower, for example, makeup water on a cooling tower. If you don't have that meter on there and you're not tracking that water usage, then you're paying for the water and you're also paying to treat that water because it's going to go down the sewer and they have to, whatever comes in, the utility assumes it's going to go out, right? And they have to treat it. So with a cooling tower, the water company knows that so much of that gets evaporated and it doesn't get put down the sewer. So they're going to rebate you the cost of that water or take that off your bill, so or off your sewer. So yeah, so that's one way to be able to do
That's
that.
huge too, because I mean, what you're just hitting on right there. I mean, that alone could save the client thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, for that thing to continue to cycle, it just never ends, right?
Absolutely. Similarly, we do a lot with machine processes or processes in manufacturing plants. So a lot of times, to be able to drive their businesses properly, manufacturers want to submeter a certain panel inside their facility so they can attribute the actual energy cost for that product to that product when they price it to sell it to their clients are.
Sure, sure.
So being able to submeter like that, that's another, and ascribe those utility costs to that particular product.
So you're talking, the HVAC equipment, the lighting, the metering, all main source utilities coming in, being able to see that on a front end. When you've been able to educate clients and they've been able to really see that, what's been some of the feedback you've gotten? Because technology continues to advance, and they're seeing more and more. What type of feedback have you seen from clients once they realize that all of these points are available to be seen?
The typical response is they want more.
Yeah, more, never enough, right? More and more and
you,
more, right?
you want to be able to, once you start using data to analyze your business and your business operations, you want more data. It kind of becomes this self-feeding kind of thing, because now you're saying, okay, well, I've got this data, but I want to break that down a little bit further. And so, uh, and they're excited about not only tracking it, but the utility savings in general. And so, a lot of times, what they want to do is they want to use that utility or that energy savings, use those dollars to be able to fund other projects that would also save energy. So, if you do one energy savings project, you can use that money to help fund the next one.
That's a good point. And also, what we talked about in the previous podcast with Max Neverman, understanding the LevCon analytics site. So the LevCon site allows the client to be able to see what it's all, what's been actually executed on site, from a service agreement to a service order to a capital improvement to being able to look at that asset that's aging and schedule a plan to be able to replace it. But this and what you bring to the table is really the backbone that supports all the information that our clients see in real time through our LevCon analytical opportunity there. These are all those points that come back and can track all that data and help them with getting those assets replaced in a timely and efficient manner. So, talk to us a little bit about leveraging those data points to where it helps clients with the funding sources that you're hitting on, being able to utilize utility cost savings based off the mechanisms that you can now measure with going back. Can you talk to us a little bit about the different finance options and how they can utilize these data points to help?
Yeah. So as you're pulling that data in and you're analyzing your equipment and you're looking at your not only your utility spend but your maintenance costs utilizing Levcon. Now you can actually get the hard operational data off of that. So for example, you can get the utility costs for that piece of equipment, and we all know that over time equipment ages, the efficiency drops off, there's wear and tear, there's changes to operational schedules. Equipment can be worked harder than originally designed. And so we can grab all that data, all that functional data off of that piece of equipment and take a hard look at it and say, you know what, this equipment is only operating at 60% of the efficiency that it should. So now you can use that data to go back and say, you know what, it makes a lot of sense to look at a new unit, because typically newer units are higher efficiency, and you can justify that business expense for that new piece of equipment, whether regardless of how you fund that piece of it.
And then when we talk about those specific pieces of equipment, those assets, as they're aging, the cost is getting up there, you have all the control points, you can see that. Have you been able to troubleshoot specific components within these units on the HVAC side that you've been able to track?
Yeah, so now we have the ability to do a couple of things. One is basically taking all the alarms a piece of equipment might generate and being able to attribute it to that particular device, that particular machine, and then say, you know what, over the past year, we've had 50 alarms on this piece of equipment, all of a similar nature. We've had the fan keeps going out, or the compressor keeps going out, and now we can ascribe a cost, what that's costing us, with the Levcon piece of it, and from an energy standpoint, and an opportunity cost, because if that compressor's not working, now you're maybe losing out on production, or maybe you have to relocate people to another area of the facility, whatever. So you're losing revenue basically. Yeah, so we can categorize the faults that it gives us. We can also do functional testing. So during off hours, we can actually generate a functional test to a piece of equipment in a facility to test valve operation, damper operations, things like that, to make sure that that piece of equipment is functioning the way it should. Yeah, we can test damper operation, valve operation, things like that, to make sure it's functioning properly, and then we can automatically generate a report. I'll give you a quick example here. Let's say you have a building that's got 100 VAVs in it. We can do a functional test during off shift that will check the damper operation, we'll drive it open, drive it closed, make sure it goes full open, full close. We can do the same thing with the hot water reheat
Oh,
valve.
that's crazy.
Then we can generate a report the next day that says, hey, instead of looking at 100 VAVs, you need to look at these three because these three have problems out of those 100. Now, rather than paying a technician to look at them, it takes about a half an hour to do a service on a VAV. So you figure 100 VAVs, a half an hour. There's 50 hours times $100 an hour. There's $5,000. That's to look at that device once a year. Now you have the ability to generate a test. You could do it once a year, you could do it once a month, you could do it once a week or once a day. It doesn't matter. It'll do it off hours. You get to report the next day. Now you've got real hard data to say, this is the equipment you need to look at. This is where you need to spend your time.
And talking about inline, out of line, what's working, what's not, quick analysis, and it's happening while they're not even in the facility.
You're not in the facility. It doesn't impact your operations. You get a report in your inbox the next day that tells you, okay, here's where we need to spend our time and our resources.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. I mean, just looking at the advancements of all these different control points and really taking these data trends and report analysis and feeding it back to the client to help them really see kind of what's going on inside their facility. Now we can talk about short term, long term efficiency, helping clients get in a more really productive, energy efficient type of manner. Is that fair to say? I mean,
That's absolutely fair to say. They can actually spend their time functioning, focusing on their core business rather than spending all their resources worrying about their facility. Are their associates going to be comfortable? Are they, do they, are they going to be able to, if it happens to be a commercial property, are their tenants going to be satisfied? Are they going to be, firefighting with phone calls all the
right,
time, hot
right.
and cold calls,
We've
and
all been
dealing with
there, right?
that. Yeah, yeah. So absolutely, that's fair to say.
Yeah, and I think it ties back in well when we talk about there's so much more than just the one component of having everything on your front end and from an HVAC standpoint, but now you're getting into overall health of the facility. Really tie that back to an asset management and really helping clients, stay productive, stay efficient, keep up with the latest trends in technology. I mean, there's so much there. I want to switch gears on you a little bit if that's okay.
Sure.
So, what does a client? What do you recommend if a client has a proprietary versus a non-proprietary type of control system, and they're not able to see everything with one or the other? Do you have any mechanisms that allows a client to be able to see more of those points or those areas that maybe tie different areas of the facility together because they want to see those kind of intertwined? How do you kind of work around that to assure clients get what they need?
So we have a platform now that we can use to actually pull data in, um, almost irregardless of the system they have. Basically, we can pull it into a platform. We can give the client a single pane of glass, if you will, a single login, place to go for a portfolio of properties to be able to look at that and what we do is we bring that data in, we normalize that data so it makes sense from system to system type. Um, you know, different data in different systems is named differently, so we bring that in, we normalize that, and then we can feed that into the processes, the software, if you will, to be able to give them a common view into the system, a very simple graphic view
Okay.
of what's going on in their business. The whole idea here is to give them easy to understand, actionable data so they can drive their business decisions.
Okay, what about, are they able to see facility to facility as well within the same platform?
They can. So you can have all your facilities on one platform. Click a button, takes you to that facility, and you can start diving down into the individual systems.
So all the way down to those individual control points, the utilities, the HVAC
The
equipment, the lighting, the
schedules,
schedules, the technicians. I mean, what was done, right? And
right?
understanding the trend analysis and those spikes and peaks and valleys. I mean, that's there's so much information there. What do you recommend for a client that's new to the role, new to the facility, really kind of get a handle on all these points that are available, and where would you recommend them to start?
I say this to people all the time: start small. Give you a perfect example. I had a school system that I was working with, and they were like, that really sounds good. It sounds enticing, but we got budget requirements and we got all these other priorities. What do we do? And my point to them was, take one air handler.
Right.
You got 5 air handlers in your building. Take one air handler, start there, put it on that. Let's kick the tires a little bit, look at the data, and then let's move to the next one. And so the savings that they got from that first one actually generated the ability to bring on the second one, and so on. So those dominoes started to fall. Now their entire district has controls on it, on every building. So yeah, start small. Um, make sure. The other piece of it is, let's sit down. I love doing this part of it. Let's sit down and let's analyze A, your processes, B, what you want to get out of the system, and make sure that it makes sense for you. You don't have to buy all the bells and whistles. Maybe you want those eventually. We can always add them on. So let's start small, get it up and running, kick the tires a little bit, and then let it prove itself to you.
Joe, such a humble approach and such a strong passion for our industry. I can't thank you enough, Joe, for taking some time with us today. Really talking about what is available for these clients and all the different control mechanisms and points that ties back into assuring their clients' facilities continue to function at peak performance.
Nick, it's awesome to be here. I'm excited about where the industry and where we are. We are cutting edge with what we're doing, and we're just scratching the surface. It's going to be amazing in the next 10, 15 years to see where all this goes. I think we are on the edge of the next phase of building automation.
Yeah, and seeing all this come back together and empowering these clients with the data that is theirs, not ours, is super, super awesome.
The data's theirs, the system's theirs, the license is theirs. It's it's all about helping them run their businesses better.
Joe, can't thank you enough, man. All the respect in the world for you. Thanks for taking the time to just talk a little bit about what's out there, what's available.
Thanks, Nick. It's been awesome.